You know, hunting is a very popular activity. People do it all over the world. And in North America, whitetail hunting is one of the most popular species that people like to get out and go hunting for. And a lot of those people, they're getting out for enjoyment. They're getting out to fill their freezer. They're hunting with their family and friends. Some are hunting for the animal of a lifetime. And because of all of that, it's a mix of things that you see in the field. But one thing is certain, people love to hunt out of tree stands. And tree stand safety is something that has to always be at the forefront of everybody's thoughts when it comes time to climb up into a tree. All of the things that we're going to talk about will help prepare you to be safe, prepare for a better hunt, make it more successful, and ensure when you climb down at the end of the day or after you've taken a shot, you're going to make it home safely. To me, the beginning of your tree stand safety aspect starts with trying to find the perfect tree. When you find that perfect tree that really sets up well, it's a live, healthy tree, it's got good cover, you know, it's big enough to handle the weight for everything that you're going to be putting on it. But risking it, setting up in a risky tree that might have a little rot, probably not big enough, isn't quite straight enough to where all of your items can be designed to work in a proper way. When you look at this set of climbing sticks, you can tell by the size of everything right here, how they go around. If you had big knots or if it was too big or a little bit crooked, these feet are not going to be cinched in to give you good, secure, stable platform while you're climbing up. Those are all things to notice while you're setting everything up. And when you can't find that perfect tree or you can't make that tree work, know that it's best to just walk away from that tree and find another one. When you find that perfect tree and you begin to put up, whether you're hanging a hang-on stand or a ladder stand or whatever it may be, the first things that you're going to want to be thinking about are, where is my safety line going to go? Getting that safety line into position in the tree is something that's really going to be important, because anytime that you leave the ground, that safety line needs to be attached to you and your safety harness. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit more. When it comes to the harness, basically what you're looking at is something that is going to, go over your shoulders, go over your legs. It's going to securely lock you in, 4 to 5 points of contact on your body, and it's going to have an area in the back that you can hook a clip to, hook a carabiner into, and securely keep you in place. Make sure it's got good buckles on it. Make sure it's got good straps all the way around. I mean, it's one of the most important investments that you absolutely can have when it comes time to go hunting. Keep in mind that mistakes are going to happen when you climb in and out of that stand, probably more than any other time. A lot of times people are trying to carry too much gear up at the wrong time. That's where a haul line is so important. You have a haul line off to the side of your stand that you tie that knot to once, while you're down on the ground. You climb up and you pull everything up into the stand, and then you secure it up in there. That's using poor judgment if you start climbing up with all that stuff, in one hand over here and, hanging out, or you're off balance. So use good judgment, use a haul line, haul things up into your stand, and it will help make it more secure and safer for you. The next thing to keep in mind is making sure that all of the assets in your stand have not been overly exposed to the elements. This goes back to using bad judgment and climbing up in a stand that's not safely and secure. Go up to each buckle, pull it, give it a tug, give it a crank, add another strap or two to everything. Look at them for fraying, look at them for nicks and cuts, look at them for where a darn squirrel's been up there chewing them, because they certainly will do that. Give everything a good check, and remember, like we've always saying, we're always preaching, make sure you got that safety harness and the lifeline on when you're doing it. Another thing I think that's really important is providing hunt details to everybody. I'm fortunate that the majority of my hunts are around a lot of my good buddies. We always have a text chain going on. My wife always knows what stand we're going to. Now, she may not be able to find it, but she knows the name of the stand, so she can text somebody if I'm late coming back. My buddies know what's going on. That's really important. If you don't have anybody in the area that you can do that, write a note, leave it on your truck, because if your truck's sitting in a location and you've unfortunately had an accident and you can't notify anybody, having a note on your truck will help people find you in those situations, because it's going to be important, if you've had a bad fall, that somebody knows where you are and they can get to you. When you get to your stand and you begin to clip yourself in, you're gonna have climbed down from it in the past, and you'll grab your lifeline. You've got this carabiner right here on this particular one, and you'll put this around. It'll lock everything down. While you're doing all of this, in your mind, you are thinking about one thing and one thing only, the big buck or the doe that's gonna come walking by. This is the time to forget that thought and think about tree stand safety 100%. This is the time to make sure you've got your haul line set up with everything. You got your bow tied in, you got your backpack tied in. Anything you're taking up into that stand right now doesn't need to be with you. It needs to be tied in over here. Then as you begin to get onto the stand itself, this is where 3 points of contact become the norm. You've got 1 foot right here on the stand, you got your 2 hands. As you go up and start climbing that stand, you get into this position right here. Now I've still got 3 points, 2 feet, 1 hand. I go up with my lifeline, I go back down and I get my hands right here, I go up. Now I still got 3. I've got all my weight on this right leg right here, and I go up again. These are the things that you're trying to do the whole way up. Lifeline, go up, hands still here, 2 feet. I'm still in good shape. Bring it up another step right there. Take 1 more step. Now I've got 4 at this point right here. I'm gonna take this hand off. I'm gonna take my lifeline up a little higher. That's how you work your way up, so you always have plenty of contact points as you go up. I would go up in this situation to this step. I would have this up and I would step down into my stand in that manner right there. Then once I get everything nice and secure, I feel safe, I start to haul everything up. And one thing I'm never gonna get rid of, that lifeline is hooked to this until I come all the way back down. Now as we reverse this process, we've started to work our way out. I'm gonna bring my lifeline down. Drop a step down, drop another step down, bring a hand down, lower my lifeline, go down, go down. At this point, we can unhook our lifeline. We've made it to the ground. Everything is safe and secure. We've had a great hunt. Hopefully we're walking off to go tag a buck, tag a doe, and if not, maybe we're going to go celebrate one of our friends. But the one thing for sure, we're safe and we're in good shape, and we had a great and successful hunt. The evolution of scouting cameras is something that continues to amaze me, but I really, at the end of the day, shouldn't be that amazed by it, because it's hunters, people in the field, that are helping to drive that innovation, the feedback they give to companies like StealthCam on what they'd like to see next. And the Revolver's 360 that has come out by StealthCam is one of those evolutions that I would have said 10 years ago was mind-boggling, but I would have said 10 years ago I would have loved to have had this technology. As I look at this technology in this particular unit, you can see 360 degrees of motion detectors up top. So anytime you get motion in one of those ranges, the camera is going to focus on taking a picture of that specific zone. What that gives you is intel on the direction game's coming. For instance, you've got 4 or 5 trails coming in. You got one camera that's focused on one trail. You're missing the other trails. Now you've got the ability to cover that. Think about food plots when you're wanting to get photos from different angles and different positions of things that are moving around out there. You've got, pigs destroying one end of it. You're trying to figure out how they're getting in and out of that area. Now you can work around that and figure it out and dial it in. You also have the ability to shoot photos and videos with this. You can set it up in burst mode, just like all the great StealthCam models that are available, and it's all controlled by your Command Pro app. That app is so dynamic. It's something I'm absolutely addicted to, far better than anything you're going to find on social media, because this is all about what you love to do in the outdoors. You can go to that app, you can control your cameras, you can look at what's happening all the time, and with this Revolver 360, you can actually get on-demand coverage from your exact location where you're putting your camera out. Speaking of the Command Pro app, that's basically how you're going to operate this in any of the StealthCam cameras that are using, cell type coverage. You basically open the door up, you've already got the app downloaded on your phone, you scan the QR code, and it's going to help you set it up exactly as you're wanting in the field. And when you're at home, or you're at work, or you're traveling somewhere, you can also go in and adjust and change your settings at any given time to match exactly what you're wanting to see out in the field at whatever location location that you've got it set to. Another great feature of this camera is it uses AT&T and Verizon, and it picks the best cell coverage signal that it's going to find. So when you go out into the field, it's going to pick the most powerful signal for that area, and it's going to immediately connect to that carrier to provide great coverage while you're out in the field to allow you to get all those pictures and videos that you're wanting to get wherever you're going to be at. It's just amazing what's happening, and hunters are driving that. They're sharing information of what they'd like to see, and that's what's been so key in the development of all the models out there. When you look around at how Stealth Cam has evolved from the old 35mm days to our days now where we're going to have 360-degree coverage, on-demand ability to look in on fields, the ability to watch it all go down on your phone and monitor whether you've got places in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Kentucky, wherever it may be, at a fingertip. It just gives you so much data as a game manager, as a hunter, as a conservationist, and as people that just want to know what's happening out in the field at their fingertips at any given time. You know, people talk about going to the deer lease to work, going to the deer camp to work, ranch work, whatever it may, hunting camp work, whatever it may be. Work is kind of a loose term in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's a lot of labor involved, but it's a labor of passion, a labor of enjoyment. You're not sitting at your desk, you know, punching out numbers on an Excel spreadsheet, answering emails kind of work. This is that kind of work that we all feel like we've accomplished something when we go do it. So when we say we're going to the deer camp to go work, we may be doing manual labor, but the fruits of our labor are sure a lot more fun than hitting send on an email.
To help with all that work at our deer lease is our lineup of Yamaha side-by-sides. Not only do they work just as hard as we do, but Yamaha's extensive lineup of genuine accessories helps us be more productive and enjoy the outdoors.
You know, the accessories on a side-by-side unit or your traditional four-wheel ATV or something that it just makes life better. You know, I sit around and I look at the different things. A windshield. A windshield doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if you've spent much time on a cold morning running a side-by-side out to a deer stand, it's about 40 degrees, and yes, this sounds kind of wimpy, but boy, it sure is nice to have a windshield, be able to cut that wind, keep you a little more comfortable, and even better when it's lightly raining. Same thing for a roof. You know, having a roof over the top of your head on a side-by-side, keeping you all comfortable, it's a big deal.
That front windshield is just a great tool. I mean, it keeps all the dust and everything out of the cab, but also keeps you dry when you're on the inside, and even some of these colder conditions too, and kind of add that little extra bit of warmth. But it's also polycarbonate coated, so what that really does for you is it keeps you from getting scratches and all the debris is being thrown up at you when you cut a couple of branches that might clip the window. You're not going to get that giant scratch across the front of it. It's really durable coating, and it is a hard coating that gets put on there. And some of the cheaper ones you might see, yeah, you're saving money short term, but when you can't see out of the front of the vehicle long term, it's definitely not the thing that you want to have. A lot of times too, when it comes to these muddy conditions, you're gonna get mud flying up all the time too, and just getting it up and out of those elements, especially when it's pouring down rain, and having that water be able to kind of fall through and not having your gear get soaked, just adds to the overall effect of how well our accessories work, but even just, again, the versatility of our accessories too, and just kind of makes our vehicles all the more proven off-road. Another thing that I personally love is our side mirrors that we have. When you're driving any sort of car, I mean, you're just naturally looking over the side. It's the same thing when you're out there on the trail. And it even has that automotive quality to it, to where if you get on some of these tight trails and a tree branch just kind of knocks in your mirror, it pushes right back out, locks in exactly where it was that you originally set it to, just like you would have in your car or truck. But also, the clarity on that glass is so nice that, you know, it doesn't look fuzzy when you're looking behind you, and just a real nice fit and finish overall. So when you're out here in the field, there's nothing better than having an increase in cargo space. With their Yamaha genuine accessories, you have the bed rack that goes in the RMAX 21000, as well as the bed extenders that go on both the RMAX 21000 and the RMAX 41000. It just increases your overall cargo capacity and kind of that versatility to what all you can carry, and keeping your stuff out of the elements.
You know, when I look at a lot of the units that we use, being able to take that bed extender and, you know, you're lowering the tailgate and you put that extender on there, you gain a lot of extra space and storage. Whether you're putting gear in there. Whether you're hauling stuff down to the beach, you're hauling items that you're working on the farm or the ranch, or in our case, you're throwing a deer there. It gives you more space in a lot of ways. And you can even maximize that more when you look at like a rack. Like we put a rack in one of our R-Maxes that I'm running around with this year. I mean, now I've got a place up top where I can put my guns, I can put my backpack, we put camera gear, and we still have all the storage down low.
Another great thing about all these Yamaha genuine accessories, especially when it comes to Wolverine platforms, a lot of that stuff crosses over. So even if you're going from our Wolverine X2 to the 850 platform with the engine in it, or our all-new Wolverine X2 1000, and even a lot of the R-Max 1000s, those accessories cross over. So you can put the bed extender on one. If you do end up upgrading to one on down the line, or if you just get one as a second vehicle to have, those can transfer to each vehicle.
When you look at accessorizing your Yamaha side-by-side, they've got a lot of different accessories that you can add to it that just make life a little more enjoyable, make the ride a little more enjoyable, and hey, being comfortable and having a little more space, there's nothing wrong with that. When it comes to building a good feeding program, I think there's a lot of different opinions out there, and I love to hear all of them, because the more that you can learn, the more you can gain from it to, you know, find best practices. You know, corn is the best deer attractant I think there is. I think it works all year long. I mean, it's candy to a deer. It doesn't have the best nutrition, but it brings them in a lot of times, and it'll help sustain them in tough times. So we run a lot of corn feeders on our deer leases. We go out, fill them, we adjust our timers based on, you know, what we're seeing at different times, but I also think we gain a lot of other advantages by having a program like that in place. But probably my favorite thing is what we can do with different types of on-demand feed properties. Now, I'm a big believer, about 16% protein in your free range is really, you know, about the best you're going to get the benefit of. I know the guys that are in that high fence breeding stuff, they feed a lot of 20 plus in their breeding programs, and that's really good for those deals. But when it comes to free choice, about 16% is probably where we see our biggest bet. By having the program that we've built over the years, you know, I mean, it's free choice. They come and eat when they want. I mean, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's an on-demand gravity feeder, and they come in and you know, they get their nibbles when they need it. But what's interesting is when Mother Nature is got good range habitat, we see a massive cut or reduction in amount of feed that we're going to go through. So there's an ebb and a flow there, and by having that there, though, I think it gives our deer a better chance, and it also allows us to attract a lot of other game species. And we use Record Rack. Antler Plus is my go-to. I think we've proven it time and time again how well it performs. And our whitetail on places that we've had our program in place for a long time, they're going to outweigh our deer by as much as 15 to 20 pounds in places that we don't have that program. And that means to me a deer is going to be in better shape, which gives him a chance to have better headgear at the end of the day.
As part of our deer management, feeder pens are essential where cattle and wild hogs are present.
You know, feeder pens are something that we've had to evolve to, and most Texans do a lot of times. Texas is ranch country. There's a lot of cattle. Cattle like a lot of the traditional deer feed that people feed as well, and so there's a competition going on there. And you've got wild hogs. And when you put those two together, you really don't want to feed those as a deer manager, and you're trying to get the most for your wild game. And so we've really worked and built a lot of different feeder pens. We've done them out of barbed wire, we've done them out of hog wire, we put different heights, different sizes. Our most successful ones are these cattle panels, so to speak, that what's what we call them, and we go in and they pin themselves together. And through time, we've really determined that if we cut a section or two out, create what I call a jump-in spot with them, take some hose clamps and some T-posts to really reinforce them, we can lessen. You can't ever eliminate all the activities that are going on by the undesirables, as I call them, from getting in there, and therefore your feed that you're putting out is going to the wild game that you're hoping it will go to. And when we build a feeder pen, we like to make them as big as we financially can afford to. And a lot of times we'll have 2 feeders in there and or a protein feeder. And in some cases, we'll even throw a cottonseed feeder in there. And what we're trying to do is create a buffet. We may not necessarily be trying to shoot deer inside that area, but we're trying to create something that in this part of Texas, we can't grow crops. We're not gonna be able to grow big cornfields or oats more often than not, so we've got to do something to be able to subsidize in these hard, dry conditions and give our game a little bit of benefit. You know, our main focus when we're trying to create a feeding program is to make our property better. You know, our whitetail, or we could be doing the same thing for wild turkeys or whatever. You know, our goal is to create a buffet that's better than our neighbors, to make these deer honestly want to stay on our property and call it home, and so that we can work our magic to hopefully harvest some of them down the road.
That'll do it for this episode. Be sure to check out our website and YouTube channel for more in-depth content. And we'll see you next time here on Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's presents Deer Gear TV.